It always starts with something small: a white envelope on the doormat, a polite email with a due date hidden inside it like a threat-wearing perfume, a push notification that taps your screen like a stranger at the window. "Hi, just checking if you're still solvent." You tell yourself you'll deal with it after work, after food, after a minute to breathe. But bills don't wait for your breathing. They multiply while you're looking away. Electricity, then water, then the internet that barely works, council tax, phone, transport, that subscription you were sure you canceled, the annual fee that appears once a year like a jump scare. They don't arrive in a stack. They arrive in a sequence, each one unlocking the next like a level in a game you never wanted to play. You pay one and feel lighter for a second. Then two more arrive. You start to learn the choreography. Autopay takes the first bite before you've even tasted your paycheck. The minimum payment pretends to be kind while quietly building a monument to your future exhaustion. Flexible plan means flexible for them. Grace period means you're already late. Nothing in your life is a one-off. Everything renews. Contracts, cover, convenience, every promise is a loop. Even your free trial has a timer attached, counting down to the moment your card is charged for a version of happiness you never used. You look around your home and realize how much of it is rented in monthly fragments. The roof, the heat, the connection to the world, the entertainment you use to forget why you need entertainment. You're not building a life, you're leasing one. And it's not just the money, it's the attention. The calendar reminders, the login portals, the hunt for the password you swore you'd remember this time. It's the way a simple Tuesday becomes admin with a side of panic. You weren't taught this in school, how to live inside a countdown. There's a part of you that thinks if you just get organized enough, you'll catch up. A new spreadsheet, a new app, a new system. But systems don't solve a flood, they just help you drown tidily. By evening, you've paid what you can and pushed the rest into the future. You close the laptop and promise tomorrow will be kinder. Tomorrow laughs. Because here's the unfunny truth adult life teaches with ruthless clarity. Bills aren't events, they're ecosystems. They don't stop, they reproduce. Section 2, Life's Big Three Breeders. If bills are alive, then housing, health, and education are their breeding grounds. The damp corners where expenses multiply like cockroaches when the lights go out. Housing, the nest that eats itself. You think paying rent once a month is the deal. Simple. Shelter in exchange for money. But housing doesn't work like that, it breeds. First comes rent. Then comes the deposit. The deposit has offspring, cleaning fees, wear and tear, repainting costs. All invented reasons to make sure you never see that money again. Then utilities arrive. Electricity breeds standing charges. Gas breeds adjustments. Water breeds wastewater services. Even the garbage has a fee. You literally pay to throw things away. And if you dare move, the housing bills evolve. Removal vans, new deposits, new agency fees, paperwork charges for processing, and of course higher rent. Because housing doesn't just reproduce, it mutates, getting more expensive each generation. Your home isn't a sanctuary. It's a nest for bills multiplying under the floorboards. Health, the bacterial bloom. Health bills are the fastest breeders of them all. It starts small. A cough, a fever, a quick doctor's visit. But the doctor breeds referrals. Referrals breed tests. Tests breed follow-ups. Follow-ups breed prescriptions. And prescriptions? They're the rabbits of the financial ecosystem. Multiply fast, never go away. Then insurance shows up, pretending to help but really just breeding in the background. Premiums, deductibles, co-pays, non-covered services. Each one a new hatchling in the nest. And if you dare to have an accident, the population explodes. Ambulance rides, emergency fees, overnight charges for the privilege of lying awake in fluorescent light. Even the painkillers have price tags. Each pill another little bill child. Illness doesn't just weaken your body. It fertilizes the soil where bills grow best. Education, the generational parasite. Education is the slowest breeder, but the most enduring. It begins innocently enough, tuition. Then comes the textbook offspring. hundreds of pounds for books you'll never open again. Then lab fees, technology fees, student activity fees, like barnacles clinging to your debt. By graduation, you don't just hold a degree, you carry a newborn debt colony. And the real horror? These bills don't die when you leave school. They grow with you. Interest compounds them like a proud parent raising overachievers. 10 years later, you've paid faithfully every month, and yet your balance is somehow higher than when you started. Education trains you in its own lesson. The bills begin when the lessons end, and unlike your professors, they never retire. The trinity of multiplication, housing, health, education, the essentials, the things you can't live without, which is exactly why they cost the most, and why their bills reproduce endlessly. You don't just pay to live somewhere. You pay to feed a nest of housing bills. You don't just pay to stay alive. You pay to fertilize a bloom of health charges. You don't just pay to learn. You pay to raise a debt child that outlives you. And that as the cruel genius of it. The basics of being human are the richest breeding grounds for bills. The things you can't avoid are the things that never stop multiplying. Bills don't stop, they reproduce. And nowhere do they breed faster than in the habitats you can't escape. Life's big three breeders. If bills are alive, housing, health, and education are their breeding grounds. And the best proof of it comes in the little humiliations, the tiny charges that seem laughable until you realize they add up to a lifetime. Housing, the $50 admin fee ecosystem. You want to move into a flat. The rent is already half your income. Fine. But before you even step inside, the bills are already nesting. A $50 admin fee for printing your contract. A $100 key replacement fee, even though you haven't lost any keys. A $200 cleaning fee when you move out, even if the flat looks cleaner than when you arrived. And then the hidden children. Gas standing charge. You pay even if you barely use the stove. Water sewage fee for the privilege of flushing. Service charge for a hallway light bulb that hasn't worked since 2019. Housing isn't shelter. It's a subscription to an ecosystem of charges, all evolving like a species you can't eradicate. Health, $200 aspirins and invisible fees. Healthcare is the most aggressive breeder. You go in with a minor problem. You leave with a family of invoices. One ER visit, $200 for an aspirin. A $100 facility fee just for sitting in the chair. $25 copay for the doctor to spend 3 minutes telling you to drink water. And then the surprise bills, the ones that slither in weeks later, $75 from a lab you didn't even know existed. $300 from an out-of-network specialist who walked past your bed once. $60 for parking at the hospital, because apparently being sick also comes with a toll. Health isn't healing. It's a garden of invoices blooming the moment you get sick. Education, $9.99 to print your future. You pay tuition. Then the extras spawn like weeds. $9.99 a semester for the privilege of printing your assignments. $250 technology fee to use Wi-Fi that crashes daily. $40 student activity fee, even if you never joined a single activity. Textbooks, $120 each, used once, resold back for $12. And when you graduate, the real offspring appear. Loan origination fees, interest that doubles your debt like a proud parent, monthly payments that last longer than some marriages. Education isn't investment. It's debt reproduction disguised as opportunity. The big three together. Housing charges like a greedy landlord breeding fees in the walls. Healthcare bills like bacteria, multiplying out of sight until they overwhelm you. Education debt like a parasite that latches on young and refuses to let go. The basics of being human, a roof, a body, a mind, are the most expensive habitats. Bills breed fastest in the places you can't walk away from. Because you can skip Netflix, you can skip eating out, but you can't skip living, breathing, learning. That's why these three will always reproduce faster than you can keep up. The bill life cycle. Welcome to the fascinating world of the modern bill. Today we follow its life cycle, from its birth as a harmless slip of paper to its maturity as a full-grown financial predator. It begins small. A delicate invoice arrives, due in 30 days. Notice how it mimics politeness, camouflaging itself in neutral fonts and pastel colors. At this stage, the bill appears docile, almost friendly. Some even call it a statement, as if it's just here to chat. But wait, observe closely what happens if the bill is ignored. Within days, a late fee hatches. A tiny offspring, small but vicious. It latches onto the parent bill and instantly increases its size. This youngling cannot survive without its host, yet somehow demands a fee of its own. Give it a few more weeks, and evolution takes hold. Interest charges appear, multiplying relentlessly, feeding on the balance like parasites in the wild. They grow quietly at first, hidden in percentages, then aggressively, doubling in strength month after month. By now, the bill has reached adolescence. It has learned to hunt. Administrative fees join the ecosystem, sly creatures that appear without warning. Processing fee, convenience fee, handling charge. They sound bureaucratic, but in reality, they're scavengers, feeding off your delay. Ignore the colony long enough, and the environment changes. A new predator enters the scene, collections. These scavenger species thrive on desperation. They do not generate value. They simply circle, feeding on what remains. Their calls are distinct, often arriving in the form of 6 a.m. phone calls or ominous letters stamped in red. Final notice. At this stage, the bill is no longer a single creature. It has become an ecosystem. The original $50 or $100 has spawned dozens of offspring. Late fees, interest charges, administrative parasites, collection vultures. Each one growing, each one demanding more. And the irony of this life cycle? The longer it survives, the further it strays from its original form. Months later, you're not paying for electricity anymore, or internet, or water. You're not paying for the service you used. You're paying for the descendants of the original bill. Its children, its grandchildren, its great-grandchildren. Observe how elegantly the system disguises cruelty as natural order. Policy, procedure, terms and conditions. These are the protective shells, the exoskeletons that keep the predator safe from challenge. After all, how can you be angry? It's just the rules. And here's the most chilling fact of all. Bills never truly die. Even when you think you've paid them off, they leave behind traces. Credit scores scarred, histories recorded. Reminders that the species once lived in your account. The life cycle of a bill is not measured in weeks or months, but in how long it can continue to feed. And in the ecosystem of modern life, one thing is certain. Once born, a bill will find a way to reproduce. Bills don't stop. They don't forgive. They multiply. Not all bills roar, some whisper. If late fees and penalties are predators, then subscriptions are parasites. They don't strike suddenly. They latch on quietly, nest in the background, and feed month after month without you noticing. Autopay is their camouflage. It's sold as convenience. Never miss a payment again. But convenience is just another word for don't look too closely while we drain you. It starts with 1. Netflix, $9.99 a month, manageable. Then Spotify, $10. Then the gym membership you swore you'd use, the cloud storage, the meditation app, the meal kit trial you forgot to cancel. One by one, they burrow in. Each one small, each one harmless on its own. But together, they form colonies. Tiny monthly charges reproducing in silence until your account looks like it's been eaten by termites. And subscriptions are clever. They don't just multiply, they evolve. They split into tiers: basic, premium, platinum. The more you pay, the less you feel like you're missing out. They hide behind free trials. Sign up today, forget tomorrow, pay forever. They offer bundles, pay more to save. Translation: feed 3 parasites instead of 1. Autopay keeps them alive. No confrontation, no envelope on the doormat, no awkward moment of handing over cash. Just a quiet, invisible siphon that bleeds you while you sleep. And the worst part? They make you complicit. Canceling requires navigating labyrinths of menus, obscure email addresses, customer service mazes designed to exhaust you into giving up. Some even require phone calls, forcing you to beg a stranger for permission to stop paying. Meanwhile, the subscriptions cheerfully renew. Thank you for being a valued member. Valued not for your loyalty, but for your forgetfulness. Look around your home. Count them. Streaming services, software, fitness apps, premium versions of things you didn't need in the first place. Even your light bulbs want subscriptions now. Smart bulbs with monthly fees, fridges that connect to Wi-Fi, cars with features locked behind paywalls. The future isn't ownership, it's billing. Autopay has turned life itself into a rented experience. You don't own music, you subscribe. You don't own movies, you subscribe. You don't own software, books, news, games, even razor blades. You subscribe. And subscriptions don't stop at products. They seep into necessities. Rent is monthly. Utilities are monthly. Insurance is monthly. Even happiness itself is sold in installments. Wellness apps, meditation subscriptions, therapy sessions billed hourly like rented relief. Every part of life is a recurring charge now. A cycle. A loop. An organism designed to renew itself endlessly. And when you add them up, you realize the horror. You're not paying for things anymore. You're paying for access. Temporary permission slips to live inside the illusion of ownership. Subscriptions are the quietest breeding ground because they don't scream. They don't scare you like a final notice letter. They just nibble month after month until the chase for survival feels normal. The predators you can fight, the parasites, you don't even notice until they've already hollowed you out. Bills don't stop, they reproduce, and nowhere do they breed faster, quieter, or deadlier than in the world of subscriptions. The hardest part about bills isn't just paying them, it's carrying them in your head. You become an accountant for your own survival, unpaid, overworked, and always behind. Your brain is a spreadsheet now. Rent due here, card payment there, utilities auto-deducting on the 15th. You set reminders. You juggle dates. You double-check balances at midnight, heart racing as if your life depends on the right number showing up on a screen. You don't dream at night anymore, you calculate, numbers crawling into your sleep. If I skip the gym membership, I can cover groceries. If I pay the minimum now, I can push the gas bill into next week. If I stretch this overdraft. Bills don't just live in your mailbox. They live in your body. Tight chest, knotted stomach, a constant hum of dread like background static you can't turn off. And the cruelest part? No one talks about it. Everyone pretends to be managing. You smile at friends, joke about being broke, but secretly you're drowning in a mental ledger you can't escape. This is the psychological toll. Adulthood turned into permanent bookkeeping. You're not a person anymore. You're a walking budget, a breathing invoice, a nervous system built out of overdraft alerts. But the bills don't stop with you. They outlive you. They stretch across generations like invisible chains. Education debt becomes a family heirloom, passed down like antique furniture, except heavier and far more expensive. Parents die. Children inherit not wealth, but balances. Hospitals send invoices to grieving families. Funerals themselves come with bills, $10,000 just to put a body in the ground. Even death requires a payment plan. And credit doesn't care about your lifespan. Debt collectors don't write sympathy cards. They send letters. They don't knock gently. They pound. You may leave this world, but the bills remain, attaching themselves to whoever's still alive and unlucky enough to share your last name. We like to believe bills are temporary, monthly inconveniences, but they're not. They're legacies. They linger, grow, reproduce, and then pass themselves along like unwanted genetics. That's the generational toll. Not just surviving your bills, but knowing your children will inherit the ones you couldn't kill. The psychological toll keeps you awake. The generational toll ensures even your rest in the ground comes with interest. Because bills don't stop, they outlive you. They reproduce across time, passed down like curses disguised as paperwork. Bills don't stop. That's the point. They grow, they multiply, they attach themselves to your name, your time, your children. They turn survival into a lifetime subscription, and even when you're gone, they leave traces. There's no end, just cycles, renewals, debts that never die. And maybe the cruelest part is how ordinary it becomes, how you stop questioning it, how you start to believe this is what life is supposed to be, how despair turns into routine, because life doesn't collapse all at once. It just erodes, payment by payment, until the only thing left of you is proof of payment. And yet, buried in that erosion, one thing survives: the bitter laugh, the scorn, that quiet, exhausted smirk when another final notice arrives in the mail. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't change the chase. But it's the last piece of you the system can't put on autopay. Bills don't stop, they reproduce. But if they're going to take everything else, let your last act be to laugh in their face as they do.